Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. We broadcast 2 hours, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 11 a.m., from the farm in Missouri. Jason is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. Guineith Isaacs is with us. Welcome, Guineith.
Hello, Vincent. How are you this morning?
Well, you know, I'm on I am frosted, and I'm frosted with watching our. Well, I'm frosted because I'm watching our country. Well, and maybe it's not just the United States of America. Society go down the drain. I'm watching it fail right in front of my eyes, and we'll call this broadcast "America is Falling Apart" Part 3. And
How
let
about
me give you an example.
Australia's falling apart?
Yeah, and I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
You know, you and I
true.
have talked off the air about what we see in our own little villages, and it seems to be the same thing. Are you seeing the educational system failing to train young minds to be creative, innovative, industrious, encouraging young people to start projects, to stay with the projects, to finish the projects? Are you seeing that fall apart?
Around our local high school, they're training our children how to be queers, and that's not good enough. You're getting graduates of a high school going out and throwing rocks at people's houses at 3 a.m. and shouting that they're going to kill people. That's the one particular local high school graduate. And then the woman that he threw the rocks at her house, she called the police at 3 a.m. and nobody was able to attend because apparently they were all sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I called the police. I called the police many years ago. There was a guy that was, there was a truck parked outside our barn, and our road has hills and valleys. It's a dirt road. And by one of our barns, which is near the road, let's say a couple 100 feet off the road, there's a little valley there. And I don't keep things in there that are worth stealing because it's too close to the road. And that barn is about, a third of a mile from our house. Well, I got a neighbor who lived up the road at that time, and she called, and she could see this truck in the valley by our red barn. It was parked there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So she called me and said, "Hey, Vincent, there's a truck right outside your barn. Looks suspicious. It's in the dip. You can't see it, and it's still there." So I said, geez, I really don't want to get into a gunfight tonight. It was at night. So I called the county sheriff's office, and they said, "Yeah, we got a guy right there. We'll send him over." And let's say about a half hour went by, and the neighbor called me and said he's still there. So I called the sheriff's office, and he's on his way. He'll be right there, right on the next road.
Oh my gosh!
So a half hour went by again, and I called the sheriff's office, like, "What's going on?" And it'll be right over. About an hour and a half later, the state police showed up because I called them. And the state police found out, they knew the guy. They knew the guy. This was a relative of the cop, a guy, a a married guy who was having a little fling, in this little dip in the road. And so he said, hey, look, you really don't want to be here, so just take off. So it wasn't burglary, it wasn't theft, it was just this guy having a side affair with some gal.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and then the sheriff's deputy finally showed up. And he said, well, why didn't you just go there and shoot him? I said, what? Are you serious? Just go and shoot this guy? So here the sheriff's deputy's telling me to just go and shoot the guy who's having an affair with some woman in his truck outside my barn on a dirt road. So if you think that
kind of over the top.
Over the top, okay. Obviously the guy wasn't behaving very well, but does he deserve to get shot? No. Not in my world, he doesn't. He deserves to move on, and and stop behaving badly.
Needs to be confronted.
Yeah, but so what I'm saying is, if you wonder why, the cops behave the way they do, I just gave you an example of what one told me to do, and he's lost his mind, because if I had shot this guy, I would be in prison for murder if I killed him. Okay? They'd say, well, he's just having this little fling. He had his pants down, and what's the problem? He's in his car. He's on a public road. What's the problem? And you go and shoot him. And that's what the cops think. And so we have a moral problem here.
So he wasn't actually on your land.
No, he was.
If he'd been on your land, well, the police around here, they've authorised all the local ranchers to shoot trespassers on site because of the problem of livestock theft. But they have to be on your land before you're allowed to shoot them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you're not supposed to shoot people on the public road, for crying out loud. Oh, my gosh.
Right. So that's the story about what happened. Okay.
That's disgusting. But doesn't it just show the attitude of the police?
Yeah.
And can't they figure it out? Can't they put two and two together to figure out that this is why we don't like them?
Right. Well, they've proven that we can't trust them. I know for a fact that they lie. They try to befriend, and it's not all of them, but it's too many of them. They try to befriend you or act like they're befriending you. Say, hey, what you're doing is okay. You really don't. That's okay. But they're really probing, they're fishing, and they're trying to catch you into saying something that they can hang you on. That's what I believe they do. That's what I believe. When they pull you over here, they say, you know why I pulled you over? And what I guess they're expecting is some truthful person to say, yeah, I was doing 56 and a 55. I know, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. Well, I'm going to write you a ticket.
Yeah.
Or I just touched that yellow line as I was traveling, and you got me. Oh, really? Okay, well, let me write you a ticket for that.
Gosh.
So that's what they do. Do you know why I pulled you over? And when they pull me over, which doesn't happen very often, but the last time it did happen, I got pulled over. Do you know why I pulled you over? I said, yeah, I do. Because you made a mistake. Your radar gun, there's 3 cars coming down the hill. I'm going up the hill, and you think that I was speeding because you picked out a number with your radar gun, and you see that I had out-of-state plates, and you figured I was easy picking. Yeah, I know why you pulled me over. Mm-hmm. It got worse from there. They
can't do anything. I'd say something like, yeah, I know why you pulled me over. I'd say, why is that? I'd say, because you're in a highwayman cartel, and you get a bonus for every ticket that you write.
Yeah. Well, America's falling apart, and these are just examples where, and I was talking with one of our instructors on the phone, And, we were comparing notes. Like when you were we were saying that when you were in elementary school, what did you want to be when you were asked, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? A policeman. That was number one. A fireman was number two. We used to look up to those guys, right? Who says, I want to be a policeman today? I guess that would be the class bully. And I know these guys, these guys are looking to engage in a gunfight, where they have the guns. And the person they're in the gunfight with was asleep at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. when the door gets bashed in. That's the kind of gunfight they want.
Actually, you know something, Vincent? You must be psychic. You know why? That's actually happened to me. And the guy he didn't bash my door in, but he bashed his policeman's flashlight. These policemen don't have little dinky flashlights. They have big flashlights. And he bashed his flashlight against my windscreen. And his name was called Brad Hyatt. And later on, I learned that when Brad Hyatt was in high school, guess what? He used to be the school bully.
Yeah, naturally, right?
And is anybody surprised?
No.
Brad Hyatt can be famous.
Yeah, I went to school with a guy, and I got a chance to see him 25 years later. So what are you doing? Oh, I'm the state police. Really? What do you do? I guard the governor. You were the guy that pushed people around. And now he's in the state police. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they do.
And he said to me, no, I wasn't the guy that pushed people around. Oh, really? Yeah, you were. You were just, one of those thug types. I want to thank those who have gone to the Ron Gibson channel at YouTube on the internet and left nice comments for us. That was really, really nice. It was nice to see pleasant comments, and I want to thank Trevor, and I want to thank Dax, and I want to thank Jesse, and I want to thank Black Armband for leaving nice comments about USA Prepares. It was really kind of nice. Total contrast to 408 Magenta, the parasite 408 Magenta. Guineith Isaacs is with us live in Australia. Guineith, there's a story on Zero Hedge, and it goes like this. There was a man who tried to kidnap a 5-year-old girl. And a woman and her daughter were shopping at a mall in West Virginia in the United States. And a man went to grab this 5-year-old girl, grabbed her by the hair. The girl suddenly dropped to the floor, and the man was trying to drag her off. And this was at an Old Navy store. This is a clothing store in a mall in West Virginia. It's called the Huntington Mall in Barbersville, small town in West Virginia. About 4,000 people live there. So it's not a big town. So when this man grabbed her 5-year-old daughter by the hair, and then the daughter fell to the ground and the man continued to drag her away, the mother decided to solve this problem by herself. So the mother pulled out her handgun. And,
good on her.
Yeah. She pulled out her handgun and told the suspect to let go of the child. And the man ran out of the store. Well,
yep.
They believe they have this guy. His bond was set at $200,000. And the nice thing is that Mom solved the problem. She was able to do it without, punching holes in this guy. And maybe the court system will take care of it. And maybe when this guy goes to prison, the fellow prisoners will, carry out some justice there.
Don't drop the soap.
Yeah. Yeah. So, nice.
Sorry, I've got zero sympathy for pedophiles, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And that was one of the topics that I wanted to talk about with you today. It's interesting how this is working out. You and I are on the same page, and we're on the same page all the time. So, Guineith, it seems to me that we may think we know people. We've seen them for years. We've, seen them at events, and we may think we actually know people. But the question is, do we really know people? Like, let me give you an example. So I went to college, and my girlfriend went to college. We were boyfriend and girlfriend from high school. We went to the same university together. And I got a roommate, and everything was good. And all of a sudden, my roommate's stealing my girlfriend. So this is a guy that I lived with, right? Well, so we fought it out. And I decided that, you know what? He can have her. Because if she was going to be like that, she's all his.
He didn't want to marry her.
Right. And her mother didn't like me because I was raised Roman Catholic, and she was of a persuasion that you can't marry Christians. So it worked out really well. I really want to thank her mother for enlightening me to the ways of their faith and preventing me from having a miserable marriage. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate my old roommate who came to my rescue by stealing my girlfriend. At the time, it wasn't all that much fun. We literally fought it out. And what I'm saying is you never really know. You never really know a person very well. And or maybe you don't. Maybe you think you know someone. So here I am, living with this guy, and he's stealing my girlfriend. Well, how much trust do you put in to a relationship with someone who breaches a trust like that? And then let's extend it a little further. There are plenty of people who would love to come to our farm. I get calls all the time. Hey, I'd love to come see your farm. I've heard about it. And, boy, I'd really love to see it. Do I really want people to come to my farm who I don't know? Do I really want them to come? Because I can guarantee you, every one of them, except maybe one or two or three. Yeah. Or, well, they bring their cell phones for sure, right? Because people can't live without their cell phones. So do I want people coming to my farm with their cell phones? Can I trust them not to take pictures? Can I trust them not to steal things? I don't even know them. We'll be right back. So we're talking about maybe you don't know people the way you think you do. And I was thinking about this. So people would come to our farm over the years, and they always had their cell phones. Always. Like 100% of the people who would come to our farm would have their cell phones. And where would they have them? In their pocket. And then they'd pull out their cell phone and they would take a picture. Or they would attempt to take a picture. And I'd say, whoa, what are you doing? I was taking a picture. Now, why is it that people have lost their manners? Why is it that if I had a camera, I'm thinking about when I was younger, and I had a camera with me, I would say, would it be okay if I took a picture of that? May I have your permission to do that? But that's not what happens today. People just take out their phones and start snapping pictures just because they think it's their right to take them. Or they are ignorant of manners, or they're careless, or they just, me first. And that's how we are today. And it's unacceptable. So as a result of people with their smartphones, I've stopped all the meetups. I don't trust the people who would come to an expo, if I had one, to be polite and not take pictures. I don't trust them. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying there will be enough people who are ignorant and devoid of manners that they would just take pictures of all kinds of people and things and do whatever they want with them. There was a guy, let me give you another example. So Expo number 1, I had set up for a seminar, and it was standing room only. And so I set up for the seminar. I left for a couple minutes. I had the microphone for the PA system of this very large assembly hall in my sport coat pocket. I switched it off. In case I needed to make an announcement, an emergency announcement, I had the microphone with me. And I went into the seminar room where I was going to be doing a seminar. And there on the side is a tripod and a camera focused on where I would be. So I walked in from the back and I said to the man with the tripod, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm doing a video." I said, "Do you have permission to do that?" "Oh, yeah." "From who?" I said, "Well, the guy who runs it." I said, "I'm the guy that runs it." And I threw him out. Not only did I throw him out of not only did I throw him out of the seminar, I threw him out of the expo. Because, number one, he lied to me. Number two, he assumed that he could just take a video and do what with it. I don't know. But he wasn't going to do it without my permission, that's for sure. Do I know who he was? No. But I threw his butt out. And that's the problem. The problem is people take liberties. And then what do? They post this stuff on the internet. Now, do I want more pictures of me on the internet? No. Nope. And will I allow it? Not if I can help it. I don't want to go out. I don't want to go to stores. I don't want to do lots of things in public because people are rude. They exhibit bad behavior. They exhibit the lack of manners. And that is just one more piece of what is wrong with America and why we are falling apart in front of our eyes. Guineith, do you see that kind of bad behavior in Australia?
Well, I'll tell you what, because we're, I haven't sent out the Gentleman of Fortune's weekly news yet. It'll probably be sent out by about midday our time tomorrow. But basically, I wrote a whole essay on that this evening. And you had no idea what I was writing about, did you, Vincent? No, I didn't. And I'm kind of grinning because I mentioned that we're on the same page. I wrote a whole essay. I said, this place, okay, the very first Mad Max movie, okay, not Mad Max the Road Warrior. There was a Mad Max movie before that, and I'm not sure. I don't think it was on general release in the United States. But it was just called Mad Max. And you could probably go on, your favorite video site and see it for a fee. But that movie was filmed literally in this local area that I live in. Within 1 hour's drive from here is a little town called Clunes, that's Clunes. And that is the focus of the first Mad Max movie. And, Mel Gibson is there crashing cars and, blowing things up and all the rest of it. And Mad Max is a cop. And he must have won the ticketing competition or something because he has this really hotted up police car that actually has NOS going into the carburetor. I don't know many police cars like that, but like I say... Yeah,
you're talking about nitrous oxide, right, NOx. Mm-hmm.
He has NOx going into the carburetor. So I don't know, he must have won the ticketing competition or something. But that's the first Mad Max movie. And that's actually literally filmed in this local area that I live in, just about an hour down the road. And you know something? The saying that comes from that movie is don't make Max mad. And if you want to get the full story of it, go and subscribe to the Gentleman of Fortune's weekly news. But I'm going to give a summary here. Okay? Somebody makes Max mad because he's a cop, and they kill his wife, they kill his baby, and they kill his partner. So all this, and the world falls apart around about this time because of some sort of unnamed apocalyptic scenario. And it becomes apparent that nobody is getting on with anybody. And a motorcycle gang moves into the local little country town, which is, in real life, if this town really exists, it's probably about that size. Maybe 500, 600, 700 people. And nobody helps anybody in the town. They all think that Max is going to help them, and Max is not going to help them. Max is going half crazy because he's just seen his wife, his baby, and his partner killed, and Max is only interested in getting the gangsters that killed everybody in his life that he really cares about. And he doesn't care if he destroys half the town in the process. And I think that this is exactly what you were talking about, isn't it, Vincent? Because people don't care. And especially the police don't care. And especially people don't care about each other. And nobody is going to come to help anybody. And you'd better make sure that you have got a really, really substantial network of people who really care about you now. And if you haven't, then you'd better get an attitude where you can look after yourself, and dig in for a Mad Max world, because I think that for the majority of people, they're not going to have that sort of network around them, and they're going to have to look after themselves. It's going to be a Mad Max world, and so you'd better get ready. Buckle up.
Yep. I've had a discussion with a number of our instructors, and I'll try to explain this on the air. Try to get a mental image of what I'm talking about. So let's say it all goes bad, and you find people showing up at your farm, because they're not going to the city when things get bad. They're getting out of the city. So people show up at your farm, and you know those people. Okay? They knock at the door and say, hey, in my case, okay, hey, Vinny, we're really hungry. Can you help us? Sure. Vinny, can you help us? Sure. Okay, so they show up, and then day number one, while everybody's here, Vinny says, okay, look, everybody has to participate in our own survival. There's no freeloaders. Everybody has a job to do, and here are the jobs that need to be done. So let's assign jobs based on who can do what. So there's going to be gardening. There's going to be tilling the garden. There's going to be planting the garden. There's going to be harvesting. There's going to be even those who are on the perimeter of the farm. And let's just make it really simple. Let's say we have two-way radios. And there are enough two-way radios for 4 people to go out to each corner of the perimeter. And there's a barbed wire fence to keep the cows in already. So we say, or I say, I'll tell you what, we need 4 people to go to the corners of the property, and it's going to be an 8-hour shift. And then after that 8 hours, you can radio in, and we will switch to the next shift of 8 hours, and then the next shift of 8 hours. So the question I have is, class, think about all the people you know. And we're going to assign people to the north, south, east, and west corners of the farm. And that person's job at each corner is to pay attention, to watch what's happening. Do not use the radio unless there is a significant event that we need to know about. Radio silence unless there's an event. And then we use code to describe what's happening. The question I have for all of you is, how many people do you know?
How many people would be disciplined to do it?
Right. How many people will actually go to that corner, not get lost, not fall asleep, not wander off, maintain radio silence, do those simple things? How many people? And I'll bet you can't count more than 5. Probably not more than 1. Guineith Isaacs is with us, and we've been talking about trust. There are a lot of ways you can describe this. Dr. Richard Allen Miller uses the word lifeboat. Who would you like in your lifeboat? Joey has the question. I'm talking about Joey in Michigan. His question is, so when someone knocks at the door and says, hey, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I need help, are you going to help me? The question then becomes, what do you bring to the table that makes you an asset?
Valuable.
To the, yeah. What makes you valuable to the group? Okay. And I think you all need to think about that. So if you're a person who's a specialist in arranging appointments at a computer screen and a computer mouse and keyboard, and you really know how to do that, and you're hungry, how well do you think you would be received by a group of people who have scarce resources, like scarce food? And really it's like this. When a company hires a person, and I'm just going to use the number $10. Okay? If a company says, I can pay that person $10 per hour. Now, I'm not talking about minimum wage. I'm just using 10 as a reference point. It can be any number. So the company says to the new employee, we're going to pay you $10 per hour to do this work, whatever that work may be. That company is expecting at least $20, $30, $40 worth of effort out of that person because they're paying 10 and they want a return on that $10. Then, of course, there's taxes and benefits or whatever may add to the cost of having that person there. So there's an investment that the company makes, and they want a return on that hiring of that person. Well, the same thing's going to happen when you knock at the door and you say, I'm hungry. It's not like the times are really good at that point. Times are terrible. Food is scarce. Water is scarce. Housing is scarce. Heating is scarce. Electricity may be non-existent. And you're going to be evaluated based on what you can contribute to the group, as well as your trustworthiness. No one needs a politician in this situation. No one needs a lawyer in this situation. It's going to be terrible. And you will be judged based on your past performance and what you know how to do. Do you agree or disagree, Guineith?
I absolutely agree. And I'm looking around me, and where I am actually, I'm quite fortunate because, the people who own the land on one side, they have their own network of people, and they're good people. We get on well with them. And one of the people in their network that works quite closely with them is a prison warder. And actually, I think that prison warder is probably a useful set of skills for somebody that you're getting on well with and that you've got, on good terms, who lives next door, because they're used to paying attention. They're used to being the guy on the corner who stands there for 8 hours at a time, not maintaining radio contact unless there's something to talk about. You know, so, and there's various other people. There's also people who live where I am who are completely untrustworthy, who I wouldn't trust as far as I could throw them. But the thing is that we know who they are as well. And, you know, there's somebody who's related to that first person who's actually shot one of my dogs in the past. And, of course, you know, they are not on the trustworthy list either.
Right.
But the time to figure out this thing is now, not when you're in the middle of it.
That is exactly the point. Can you figure out who 5 people are? I'll bet you'll have trouble, class, figuring out 5 people.
You'd actually need 12, at least.
And it's going to be tough to find 5. We'll be right back. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Guineith Isaacs is with us. Guineith, you mentioned Mad Max being filmed near you. When I lived in Virginia, there was a filming being done of a movie called Sommersby. I'll spell it Sommersby. And that was in 1993. And I know a number of the people who are in the movie because they were neighbors of ours. People who I knew were asked to be extras in this filming. And it's set in Virginia, in a very rural town, actually just down the road from our farm. Literally, I'm not exaggerating, about 11 miles away. And Jodie Foster was in this. She had a starring role, and so did Richard Gere. And it's about a man who returns after the War of Northern Aggression, also known as the Civil War. And he actually is impersonating someone he knew from the War of Northern Aggression. He assumes that person's identity, and he moves in with that person's wife, and he just acts as if he is the person, but he's an imposter, and that's Richard Gere. And the reason I'm mentioning all this is, you know, we had the local restaurant in the town where it was filmed in Charlotte Courthouse, Virginia, and Red Hill, Virginia. Well, at the restaurant, we know people who work there, and they really liked Richard Gere. They thought he was a pretty nice guy. Jodie Foster, on the other hand, they couldn't stand. She was demanding, me first. And the reason I'm bringing this up is you don't really get a chance to find out what people are like normally who are on the big screen. Well, our neighbors, people we know, said that they interacted with, you know, the stars, Jodie Foster and Richard Gere of Sommersby in 1993. And they were less than impressed with Jodie Foster. They thought she was pretty, but they thought she was difficult to be with, to be around, to work with, demanding. Those were the things that they would say about her. And the reason I'm mentioning this is you really don't know people, and that's what we've been talking about today. So you see these actors and actresses on the screen, and you see the final cut after all the mistakes are taken out and all their antics and their ranting and their raving. All that is not on the video. You just get to see their very best edited performance. They're made up to look better than they are. They are shown to act better than they are because they take out the reality in the editing room of how these people behave. Jodie Foster is a homo. Yeah. Jodie Foster is a homosexual.
Really? Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. She married a gal. And let's see. She married a gal by the name of Alexandra, Alexandra, Hedison, Hedison. So here we have a gal who is playing a married woman in Somersby, and she's a homo. I guess maybe the politically sanitized word might be gay. When I was growing up, that was called perversion. So I really don't care about if we lose any of our class members because of the way I'm just calling it like it is. It's okay with me. It's all right. I've gone Galt. I really have. I've gone John Galt, and I don't care what people think. I'm going to tell it like it is, and then at some point I'm going to move and go away. I'm going to take care of our family, and those people who are willing to be productive, I'm willing to work with. Those people who are parasites, I will forget all about. Have you gotten to that point, Guineith, or is it just me?
I'd say I'm pretty close to being at the point where I'm just, going to do my own thing. And
that's what I mean.
I'm not really wanting to hurt anyone, but if there's people come up to my gate thinking that they can tell me what to do, I think that they're going to get a bit of a surprise. I think that they got a bit of a surprise the last time they were here. I think that they were expecting me to fold over. The last time somebody like that was here, they sent just about every policeman in the district to my gate over a dispute of what they called unpaid property taxes and what I called extortion. And it ended up that these policemen, the members of the blue team, came up my driveway, would not leave my land when I demanded that they do so. And guess what, Vincent? I went up to this cop and I stood within 1 inch of his face and I shouted in his face at full volume for him to get off my land. And I think that might count as going gold.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, because, and he said, don't touch me. I said, I'm not touching you. Get off my land. I don't think that they were expecting that somehow. But I can see, oh my gosh, I know things, okay, I can't give the details on air, but I've come across information which would indicate that over the next 12 months to 18 months, things in Victoria, in country Victoria, are going to get very, very, very bad indeed. And it's all set up, it's all planned by the government and the blue team and all the rest of them. And I might give some details about what I know is going to happen off air, and maybe we can talk about it some other time. But I'm going to stay here. But if anybody comes to my land thinking that they can tell me to, if anyone comes thinking that they can boss me around, they're going to get a very unsympathetic response from me. And, it's with regards to homosexual people, I've got, I would say it's a really, really short list of homosexual people that I would ever let on my land. I would say Milo Yiannopoulos would be one. And I would say that there's one friend of mine. He doesn't live around here, but if he ever came, I wouldn't necessarily let him stay, but if he wanted to come and visit, I might allow him to visit. But I wouldn't allow him to stay. But that's somebody that has been a colleague of mine in the past. I've worked with him. You know, you never 100% know for sure that you know people, but I would say that they would be the only two that I would ever let on my land. Okay, and you know, but the vast majority of homosexual people, Vincent, I would absolutely agree with you. I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. And you know, even Milo, he's a homosexual man, and he says that he doesn't trust most of them. He says most of them are absolute reject losers. Except I think that he uses probably not quite such nice words as those. He says he doesn't trust them, and he's one of them. He doesn't trust them. But he seems to tell the truth.
Jodie Foster,
from what I've heard.
Jodie Foster's, her real name is Alicia Christian Jodie Foster. So Jodie must have been kind of added in there. But Alicia Christian Foster. Let me say that a different way. Alicia Christian Foster. And she's a homo. Let's just expand on this. So there was a guy who played the character of Gomer Pyle. Gomer Pyle, a USMC. His name is Jim Nabors, was Jim Nabors. Kind of a goofy guy. He was on Andy Griffith's television show. He was a homo. He married his boyfriend of 38 years. So what I'm saying is, class, what you think may not be reality. You may be led to believe something that is not really true. Gomer Pyle, real nice guy, goofy, you know, incompetent, golly, homo. And
then you find out that in addition to that, they're messing with children.
Yeah, like Michael Jackson.
Really, if you know, oh my gosh, that is anyone who's known me for any length of time knows that is a really, really sore point with me. You mess with kids, and you are on my blacklist.
Well, how about what the media, the sick, perverted, twisted, lying media, referred to a guy as America's dad? That'd be Bill Cosby, a guy who drugged and molested women. Drugged and molested women. He's in prison. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby show. Yeah, made records, a comedian, and he was using drugs to have his way with women. Convicted of it. We'll be right back. Class, when our son and I built our farm and farmhouse, back around 2005, we selected fixtures, plumbing fixtures. And we looked at all the major brands that made sense to look at. There was Elger. I'm talking about like toilets and sinks and things. Elger and Kohler and American Standard. And those were, you know, the big old names. Crane. And when I was growing up, my parents had in their house that they built American Standard. So naturally, I was leaning toward what I knew, American Standard. And this is actually a preparedness part of our class that I'd like to share with you. Well, I selected all the toilets are the same, American Standard toilets, and the model is called a Champion 4, Champion, and the number 4. They're white, and they're a traditional looking thing, nothing fancy, but a well-known brand. I'm going to read to you the warranty, just one paragraph. And this is from the website for American Standard. Now, American Standard is now known not as American Standard. They're The corporation is AS, as in American Standard, AS America Incorporated. That is the corporation for American Standard products. The warranty says, this is from the website, the toilet comes with a limited lifetime warranty on the Chinaware, a limited 10-year warranty on all mechanical parts of the toilet, and a limited 1-year warranty on the toilet seat. Okay, that's what American Standard or AS America Incorporated says about their warranty. Well, after a few years, we found out that the toilets just didn't flush right. And I believe that the problem is in design. Now, I haven't taken a sledgehammer to open them up, but I believe here's what happened. Now, if you think about the porcelain side of a toilet or a sink, it's smooth and water runs right off it. Well, I believe on the inside of the American Standard toilet, and I can't prove it, but I believe this, that they did not glaze the path that the waste and wastewater is flushed through, the S-trap. And I believe that if you have hard water, you build up lime deposits or calcium deposits in there, and it slows down the flow of water, and the toilets don't flush right.
Oh, my gosh, I think you're absolutely right.
Okay. In addition to that.
Because, yeah.
Okay. In addition to that, there's they changed the flush valve. Now, it used to be that you could get a replacement flapper valve for 99 cents, actually maybe 59 cents. Well, now, and you could just lift off the lid, that cover on the back of the toilet water tank. You could lift off that lid. You could flush the toilet, shut off the valve, and then reach in there with your hand and replace the flapper valve. This is rubber valve. Just a little flapper the size of a tennis ball, roughly. And it was very easy to do. It would take maybe 1 minute. Well, the new and improved American Standard Champion 4 uses a much more sophisticated flush valve. And when lime water comes in contact with it, it sticks. Well, we were having company for Christmas last year. So I decided that, I could jiggle a handle and everything would be fine. But, eventually it would stick again. I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to fix this thing. Well, in order to fix the American Standard Champion 4 toilet, you have to disassemble the water tank from the base or the bowl. And you need a great big gasket. It's like 3.5 inches in diameter. It's kind of a sponge rubber, but it's proprietary. You need one of those. And you need a new flush valve because the new ones are improved and they don't stick as much as the old ones. Well, let me tell you what happened when we come back. And I'm talking about we have crossed the line where we cannot live with the products that we have made. And this is just one more example. And I'll explain it when we come back. So we're talking about technology, and I'm saying that we've crossed the line where the average person can no longer deal with the technology that we've created for ourselves. And I've said that you used to be able to buy a toilet flapper valve in about a minute. You could repair it yourself, and now it's more complicated. So what I was saying is the American Standard Champion 4 toilet, when you go to replace the flapper valve system, it is complicated. And because they had a manufacturing failure and an engineering failure, in my opinion, the flush valve would get stuck and the toilet would leak until the next time. It would keep running until the next time you walked by it or heard it leaking or decided you were going to jiggle that handle. Well, eventually, jiggling the handle didn't work. So I called American Standard, and I knew it was warranted for 10 years. And I explained it, and they said, okay, we'll send that out. And I said, now, in order to do this, can you just send this one little piece where I can just stick it in? No. What you have to do is take the toilet tank off, separate the toilet tank from the toilet base, and you'll have to replace the whole assembly. Now, this assembly, if you were to buy it, is $45. I'm talking about what used to be 59 cents is now $45. Well, they were willing to send it to me for free. But if I didn't know how to do this, I'd have to call a plumber. And I looked up the cost, the labor cost for this. It's on the internet. It says it's between $50 and $200 to have a plumber come and do this. Now, of course, I know how to do this myself, but here's the problem. Well, in order to replace this flusher valve assembly, you need this 3.5-inch or so sponge rubber seal or gasket. They call it a coupling that couples the toilet base with the toilet tank. You need a new one when you do this. You can't use the old one. Well, I said, okay, so I'm going to need, the flush valve assembly and that rubber coupling. They said, great, no problem. Well, I got the flush valve, but I didn't get the coupling. So I went to Home Depot to try to find one, and I was able to find this gasket thing, and I think it was about $7 or $8, maybe $10, maybe $12. So I bought that because I needed it, because they didn't send that necessary part, absolutely required part to fix the toilet not flushing. Now, I ordered this on December 17th of last year. I called them up and I said, yo, I didn't get the coupling, this gasket thing. And they said, well, we're back ordered, but we'll send you one as soon as it comes in. I just got it. It took 14 weeks. 14 weeks. Let me say that a different way. 14 weeks to get this part for the toilet. Now, class, here's the point. If you think the supply chain is fine, I'm here to tell you it's not. Now, if I were unable to fix this and figure out where I could get the part and which part would work, and of course I went to Home Depot and I talked to one of their senior engineers on the floor there. He had no clue. And he was in the plumbing toilet department. He was the expert, the senior guy. No clue as to how this thing works. No clue as to the flush valve. No clue as to the coupling, the gasket. None of that. But he's the senior guy. So what I'm telling you is if you think that you can get parts whenever you think you need them, the answer is you cannot in all circumstances. Some circumstances maybe, but in all circumstances the answer is you cannot get what you need when you need it. So the point of USA Prepares is to tell you things like this, and that you need to get what you need before you need it, because it may not be available when you need it. So in that line of thinking, I bought a Correggio, I think that's how you pronounce it, faucet for our kitchen. And actually, I bought 3 of them. I like the high arc faucets. And Sam's Club was selling them many years ago for $39.95. Lifetime guarantee, commercial grade. And that's what we have in our kitchen. Well, I bought these faucets. I bought all 3 of them because if I bought a replacement part for one, it would fit all 3 of them. Okay, rather than having 3 different styles of faucets, I expected that I was going to be using 3 eventually, and that's what I did. I bought 3 of them. Well, it came with a lifetime warranty. Lifetime warranty. Well, we've had some failures. The cartridges that control the hot and cold have failed, and all I do is call them up, and they replace them. No proof. I don't have to say, well, let me show you a picture. Let me send you my receipt. They believe me. What a wonderful company. And so far, they've sent me 3 cartridges. But here's the point. As long as they're in business, I expect they'll probably honor their warranty. But a lot of companies don't honor the warranties. Now, here's where it gets really, really complicated. When I bought our fixtures for our house, I'm sorry, the faucets and shower control valves, I bought all the same kind. I bought American Standard. And they had a lifetime warranty. But here's the problem. If you have a leak in your shower control and the company no longer makes that shower control, all you have to do is take a hacksaw and cut out your tile or cut out the shower wall. I'm I'm serious, and replace it with the new one. No, actually, your plumber's going to do that. Then you can have the tile guy come back and put the tile back in place. It's going to be very expensive, all because the company may not have made that control valve that failed. What am I talking about? A $20 part becomes a $500 problem. So my advice to our class, I know I've diverted from what we're talking about today. My advice to our class is make sure that you have that shower control valve. Make sure that you have those faucet control valves so that you don't have to replace the entire shower control system. Because all you need is a little part that's the size of, I don't know, half a roll of silver dollars. That would be the size of it. And it would just go in very simply. But if you don't have that part and you have to replace the whole shower control valve, you're looking at about $500. So make sure you get those parts.
Unless you know how to do it yourself and not have it look like a dog's breakfast.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
So that's my advice on plumbing preparedness. That plumbing is a big problem because when you have a leak, it causes damage, usually. Okay? If you have a leak and it's the upstairs part of your house, it can take down the ceiling downstairs and black mold and the rest of it. So it's really simple. Just get that part. Now, if you have a leak, call that company because a lot of the faucet manufacturers and shower control valve manufacturers like Price Pfister and American Standard and the rest of them have lifetime warranties. So if yours just drips, call them up, tell them what you've got. Maybe you might need to take a picture and email them a picture and say, I don't know what I've got, but this is what it looks like. And they can say, oh, yeah, we know what that is. And most of the time, it will be covered by a lifetime warranty. But you have to know that. So get it fixed. And then you might want to buy a second replacement because these faucet control valves only seem to last about 10 years. 10 years. So if you think you're going to be in that house for the next 10 years, you might want to get another one and save yourself an enormous amount of money because there is an absolute certainty that it's going to fail. It's a given. The faucet valves fail. The shower control valves fail. The toilet flush valves fail. They all fail. It's just a question of when. So it's easy to have the spare parts ready. It's expensive to replace the toilet. It's expensive to replace the faucet. And it's really expensive to replace a shower control valve. Really expensive if you have to buy the whole assembly. Any comments, Guineith?
Well, I would say that probably has mostly to do with all the chemicals that they put in the water, right?
Absolutely. Yes, it does.
Unless you have bore water, in which case it might be the natural limestone in the water. Mm-hmm. But people have got to be aware that hydrogen fluoride is about the strongest acid you can ever get. It is right up there with the most toxic, most corrosive, strongest acids that you can get. You go putting that through a water pipe, you're going to have problems with your water pipe because it's that even a low concentration of hydrogen fluoride, it's such a corrosive acid. This is the fluoride that they put in the water. It'll eat out the inside of your pipes, and any valves and anything like that will be toast within a lot less than 10 years if you have got a fluoridated water supply. If you're in an area that's got a fluoridated water supply, you should move. You should leave that area because what you were saying the other day, Vincent, about frogs dying, birds dying in the, because of, and wildlife and dams dying in fluoridated areas. Were you saying something like that? Or was
I was talking about
the
poisons. I was talking about the poisons that were added to birdseed. And they they were killing the birds.
It must have been somewhere else I heard it. But in areas where they fluoridate the water, that creatures are dying in dams.
Well, that's absolutely true. Years ago, they didn't know what to do with fluoride. So farmers, ignorant farmers, would accept these deliveries of fluoride, and they would just dig a hole and bury the fluoride on the farm because it's okay, right? And then they'd find that after the rains, the cows would go to these puddles and drink the water and die.
Yeah.
And then they figured out that's not working so good.
It's the fluoride.
Yeah.
And if they did 5 minutes of reading in an encyclopedia, they'd find out how poisonous fluoride was, and they wouldn't let it on their land. Although they might,
and
this guy sprays 6,000 gallons of Roundup on a 50-acre block.
Right. What an idiot. We'll be right back. Preparedness comments, class. So when our son and I built our house in 2005 here in Missouri, we did our own plumbing, of course, and we have a water softener that we installed. And I sent softened water to the kitchen sink, the bathroom sinks, and the clothes washer and the dishwasher. But just filtered water, in terms of sediment filter, like a 5-micron sediment filter, all the water is filtered by that. And we sent cold water to the toilets. Well, like, why put soft water in the toilets? Because you're paying for all that salt. And why, with a high-use device like a toilet, why send soft water to it? However, at one end of the house, it was something that I never got to send just hard water to that particular toilet. All the toilets were installed at the same time. And the only toilet that has not had a problem flushing is the one that used soft water. Now, what I'm telling you is that that's why I believe that the lack of glazing on the inside trap of the toilet by American standard has allowed this lime to build up, and that's why the toilet stopped flushing properly. Just another shortcut that companies have been taking. And back in 1960, when my folks built their house, they put in American standard toilets and never had a problem flushing from 1960 to 1984 when they sold their house. So 24 years, problem-free. Less than 10 years with the new toilets. And we had hard water in the toilets back in the 60s. So what I'm saying is companies are taking shortcuts at the expense of the villagers. One other thing I want to share with you. During the broadcast, we got a call, and it said, let me just read it. Unavailable. Okay, caller ID, unavailable. But the phone number that called us was 405-331-1004. So during the break, Mrs. Finelli called back and said, I'm sorry, we missed your call, but we got a call from you. And this guy said, so my wife said, who is this? Because it's unidentified, right? And so this guy says his name is Tom, and he says he's calling from a police officers association, and they're asking for contributions for the hard-working police department. And can I count on you?
Gosh.
Can I count on you? Here's what he said. That's what he said. Can I count on you to make a small contribution?
Oh, my gosh.
Can I call on you to make a small contribution right now? So I asked Mrs. Finelli for the phone. She didn't say a word. And I said, absolutely not. And I hung up. So here's a guy. We're on the no-call list. We're on the no-call list. Here's a guy from the Blue Plague. At least he's representing himself from the Blue Plague. And he wants us to give them money. Absolutely not.
That means he's not getting enough money from his ticketing competition.
It means
he has to, yeah.
All right. So the whole point, class, is I absolutely, positively will not give any money to any organized charity, no matter what. However, I will help people individually. where I know that 100% of my hard-earned efforts can go where I want them to go rather than paying for administration. But here's the point of this guy. This guy, we're on a no-call list. Obviously, that Police Officers Association pays no attention to that. No attention to it. So he's in violation of the law. These are the cops, allegedly. I mean, I don't know. Actually, he could be a masquerader. He could be an impersonator. I don't know. But he's representing himself as part of a police organization, begging for money. Class, think about it before you say yes. Think about it before you let these guys into your house. Think about it. You don't have to. Mind if I come in? No, you're not coming in. What are you, kidding? These guys are liars in many cases. And they're,
and put
in many
a
cases,
no trespass sign up on your gate.
Yeah. And that especially applies to government parasites. Gwyneth, thank you so much for being with us today. Oh, class, one other thing.
God bless you.
I'm not available for phone calls. It's farming time. I'm out on the tractor. Just want to let you know.